Johnny Sins, there comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes something painful, something uncomfortable, something he's been avoiding for years. That moment when he looks in the mirror and finally admits, I've been wasting my life watching others instead of building myself. Listen to me. I've lived enough, seen enough, fallen enough, and risen enough to tell you this with full honesty. The world doesn't reward people who obsess over others. The world rewards the ones who put their head down and work on themselves like their life depends on it. You're not here to compete with somebody's Instagram highlight reel. You're not here to chase applause, validation, or approval from people who don't even think about you. You're here to grow. You're here to evolve. You're here to become the strongest version of you. And let me tell you something. When you finally redirect that energy you waste on comparing yourself to others, judging others, complaining about others, and instead pour it into discipline, into purpose, into the grind, you become dangerous, unstoppable, because focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is survival. Every time you check someone else's progress and feel behind, that's your own dream calling you out. Every time you feel jealous of someone's success, that's your potential reminding you that you're capable of more. Every time you complain about someone having it easier, what you're really admitting is that you've been avoiding the work. And trust me, I know what it feels like to start from zero. I know what it feels like to have nobody believe in you. I know what it feels like to fight battles in silence while the world watches you like a spectator sport. But I also know the power of focusing every breath, every second, every drop of energy on becoming better than the man I was yesterday. You want confidence, work on yourself. You want respect, improve yourself. You want peace. Let go of everything that doesn't help you grow. Stop checking who's ahead. Stop worrying about who's watching. Stop caring about who's talking. People will talk regardless. People will judge regardless. People will doubt you regardless. But here's the truth they'll never tell you. The moment you stop caring about them, they lose all power over you. Focus on your hustle. Focus on your health. Focus on your skills. Focus on your mindset. Focus on your future. Because the day you decide to commit to yourself, fully, fiercely, unapologetically, that's the day everything in your life begins to shift. Doors open. Opportunities appear. People start seeing the glow they once ignored. And it all begins with one decision. I choose me. So today, promise yourself this. No more wasting time. No more comparison. No more distractions. Focus on yourself, not because others don't matter, but because your future depends on it. And when you finally become the man you were meant to be, the world will notice. But by then, you won't even be looking. When you finally make the decision to focus on building your own growth, instead of comparing yourself to others, something powerful begins to shift inside you. Most people spend their entire lives watching what everyone else is doing, scrolling through timelines, checking who's winning, who's ahead, who's getting attention, who's living the life they think they deserve. And without realizing it, they drain their energy into a black hole of comparison that gives them nothing in return. But the moment you redirect that energy inward, the moment you say, I'm done measuring myself against someone else's journey, you unlock the kind of progress that was impossible before. Because comparison blinds you to your own strengths, your own potential, your own timeline. It convinces you that you're behind when you're actually just beginning. It convinces you that someone else's success is a threat when in reality it's only a reflection of what you're capable of if you commit to your own path. When you stop comparing, you start noticing the areas of your life you've neglected. You start recognizing the habits that are destroying your potential. You start seeing the opportunities you've been ignoring because you were too busy watching someone else live theirs. Suddenly, the excuses fade, the distractions fade, the noise fades, and what remains is the raw, honest truth about who you are and who you could be. That's where real growth begins, not in competition with others, but in competition with yourself, the version of you who procrastinates, the version of you who doubts, the version of you who broke promises to yourself. Focusing on your own growth means confronting those pieces head on and choosing to rise above them every single day. It means putting in the work when nobody is watching. It means improving quietly, consistently, relentlessly. It means understanding that real progress doesn't need to be posted, shared, compared, or validated. It simply needs to be done. And when you commit to that kind of growth, something changes in your mindset. You stop chasing the spotlight. You stop craving approval. You stop looking sideways. You start looking forward. You start taking pride in your effort instead of your image. You start caring more about your discipline than your reputation. You start building a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. And slowly, the gap between who you are and who you want to be begins to close. Not because you rushed, not because you were competing, but because you learned the secret most people never understand. You can't become your best self while trying to be better than everyone else. Only when you step out of the cycle of comparison can you step into the growth you were meant for. Redirecting your energy from judgment and jealousy into self-improvement is one of the most transformative shifts a person can make, because both judgment and jealousy drain you without giving anything back. When you judge others, you waste mental space analyzing lives that aren't yours, choices that don't impact you, and paths that have nothing to do with your own destiny. And jealousy, quiet, hidden, unspoken, slowly eats away at your confidence by convincing you that someone else's progress is somehow evidence of your failure. But the truth is, every ounce of energy you invest in those emotions is energy stolen from your own growth. Imagine how different your life would look if even half of the time you spend thinking about other people was spent on your own discipline, your own skills, your own goals. The power you would build is unimaginable. The problem is that judgment feels easy. Jealousy feels natural. Improvement feels hard. But that difficulty is exactly why it's so valuable. When you start looking outward and start looking inward, you begin to see the real work that needs to be done. You start noticing the gaps in your consistency, the habits that are slowing you down, the fears you've been avoiding, the potential you've been wasting. And the moment you take responsibility for those things, you take back control of your life. Instead of comparing yourself to someone else's success, you start asking yourself why you haven't been giving your own dream the attention it deserves. Instead of feeling jealous of someone's achievements, you start using their progress as proof that growth is possible for you too. Instead of judging others for where they are, you start understanding that everyone is fighting battles you can't see, and every journey looks different for a reason. Redirecting your energy means realizing that every time you criticize someone else, you could be sharpening one of your own weaknesses. Every time you envy someone, you could be building something of your own. Every time you wish you had what another person has, you could be taking a step toward creating it with your own hands. This shift doesn't happen instantly, it happens with awareness. It happens the moment you catch yourself drifting into comparison and pull yourself back. It happens when you remind yourself that your path is unique and your timing is different. And the more you do this, the more you realize how powerful you feel when your energy finally belongs to you again. Because self-improvement builds confidence, it builds peace, it builds purpose. It makes you feel alive again. And most importantly, it puts you back in the driver's seat of your life, where jealousy and judgment could never take you. Discipline, consistency, and purpose are the real foundations of transformation, because nothing meaningful in life is built on motivation alone. Motivation fades, emotions shift, and circumstances change. But discipline is the one thing that stays steady when everything else around you is shaking. Discipline is the decision you make when your feelings don't match your goals. It's waking up when you don't want to, showing up when you're tired, choosing growth when comfort is pulling you in the opposite direction. And when you practice discipline long enough, it becomes a part of who you are, not just something you force yourself to do. But discipline alone isn't enough. You need consistency. Consistency is what turns small efforts into massive results. It's the quiet repetition of doing the right things again and again, even when the progress is invisible. Most people fail not because they don't try, but because they don't stay. They start strong for a week, then give up when life gets hard. They chase a quick breakthrough but ignore the slow, steady grind that actually creates change. True transformation doesn't happen in big dramatic moments. It happens in the daily decisions no one sees. Every workout you complete, every hour you study, every temptation you resist, every distraction you shut down, those small choices stack up day after day until the person you were becomes unrecognizable compared to the person you're becoming. And then there's purpose, the thing that gives both discipline and consistency their direction. Without purpose, you're just moving. With purpose, you're evolving. Purpose gives meaning to the struggle. It turns sacrifices into investments. It turns obstacles into lessons. When you know why you're doing something, the how stops being stressful and starts becoming natural. Purpose reminds you that the journey isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to make you stronger. It keeps your mind locked on what truly matters instead of drifting into distractions that steal your focus and dilute your potential. When discipline, consistency, and purpose work together, they create a force inside you that's impossible to stop. You stop relying on luck and start relying on effort. You stop waiting for the right time and start creating it. You stop chasing approval and start chasing improvement. And slowly, you begin to notice a shift, not just in what you achieve, but in how you think, how you carry yourself, how you respond to life. You develop a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're putting in the work every single day, looking when nobody's watching. You realize that transformation isn't a moment, it's a lifestyle. And the more you live it, the more unstoppable you become. Choosing yourself unapologetically is the first step toward becoming unstoppable because most people go through life abandoning themselves to keep others comfortable. They shrink their dreams to avoid judgment, silence their ambitions to avoid criticism, and slow down their progress just to match the pace of people who were never meant to walk their path in the first place. But the moment you decide that your growth matters more than their opinions, everything begins to change. Choosing yourself means giving yourself permission to evolve, even if it makes others uncomfortable. It means protecting your peace, your focus, your energy like it's sacred, because it is. It means saying no to things that drain you, even if people don't understand. It means showing up for your goals on the days when nobody else is cheering for you. And most importantly, it means believing that you deserve the life you want even before you've built it. When you choose yourself, you stop waiting for validation. You stop depending on approval. You stop seeking permission. You start taking action based on what feels right for your future, not what feels easy in the moment. You start prioritizing the habits that elevate you instead of the habits that numb you. You start surrounding yourself with people who push you forward instead of holding on to those who keep you stuck. And you begin to realize that the only person who truly needed to believe in you was you. Choosing yourself also means facing the parts of your life you've been avoiding. The dreams you put on hold, the talents you ignored, the discipline you abandoned. It means taking back the responsibility for your own destiny and refusing to blame others for where you are. That level of honesty can be uncomfortable, but it's the kind of discomfort that leads to growth. Because once you take ownership, you take control, you begin to move through life with intention instead of autopilot. You become more selective with your time, more protective of your mind, more committed to your vision. And with every choice you make in favor of your future, you build a stronger, braver, more capable version of yourself. People might not understand why you've changed. They might call you distant, selfish, or different. But they don't realize that you're not choosing yourself to neglect them. You're choosing yourself to stop neglecting your potential. You're choosing yourself because you finally understand that no one else can walk your path, fight your battles, or build your dream. You're choosing yourself because your life is yours to live, not theirs to approve. And once you decide to stand firmly in that truth, the world begins to respond differently. Opportunities open, energy shifts, confidence grows. You stop chasing things that don't align with your purpose and start attracting the things that do. You move from being passive in your life to becoming the architect of it. Choosing yourself becomes the foundation of every strong decision you make, every goal you pursue, every boundary you set. And the more you honor that choice, the more unstoppable you become.